Hey everybody, it's Brandy and I'm back with Kim's Corner. So last time I told you that I was going to have a very special guest on, and today I have my mom. Hi mom.
Hi, Brandy.
Emma Kemp, and she's going to help me out with talking about ACEs, basically what they are, how they've kind of showed up, in her life, and how she was able to overcome, as well as be a safe place and a safe person for the next generation. We're going to talk about, her career and things like that, of how she kind of helped people overcome. All right. So go ahead real quick before we start, Mom, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Emma Kemp. You can call me Emma Kemp Burton if you like, but I am divorced. But going on to say, I have stopped nursing. I used to be a nurse, started out on oncology floor, um, and then I started doing work with case management with people with addictions to help keep the children still in the home instead of taken out of the home. And I I write gospel songs and I sing and I love the Lord. But I don't play now. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway,
Okay, awesome. So let's talk about before we talk about like what you did with case management and how you were able to help other families. Let's talk about ACEs in your life, okay? Because what I've kind of been chatting about and having conversations with other adults about, as well as making videos about, is how ACEs have affected us in the adult world and how we can help the next generation. So let's kind of talk about some things that you may have had to overcome. Now, you don't have to hold your fingers up for all of us to see, but I do want you just to keep a count in your head if this is something that you dealt with. Are you ready?
mm-hmm.
Lived with a parent or guardian who was either separated or divorced, or some kind of way you grew up with a single parent. You give yourself 1 point for each one.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Lived with a parent or guardian who died.
Yes.
Lived with a parent or guardian who served time in jail or prison.
No.
Lived with anyone who was mentally ill or suicidal or severely depressed for more than a couple of weeks.
Well, I don't know if I would call this depression, but my mom, my actually blood birth mom, um, she lost our father and a child 3 months apart. So I don't know if she was depressed or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
I think she took it out on us. The one,
Mm-hmm.
the
Maybe had a nervous breakdown.
I don't know. She
Mm-hmm.
was just might been born that way. I don't know, but
Mm-hmm. Would you
we
consider
were.
that mentally ill? Was it
I
normal
consider it to be
normal
no, that was not
parenting?
normal, but
Okay.
I don't, by me being a little child at the time, I thought maybe she was born that way.
Okay. Okay.
I
What
didn't,
about lived with anyone who had a problem with drugs or alcohol
well,
as a child?
as a child, no.
Okay. Number six, witnessed a parent or guardian or adult in the home be violent with anybody. And
Yes.
we are gonna talk about get into these a little bit more. Okay, she said yes on that one. Been the victim of violence or witnessed violence in your neighborhood.
Yes.
Okay, and the last one is experienced economic hardship or poverty.
Well, I guess at the time, we didn't have much, but my mom had us thinking we were wealthy. So they come and pick it up.
Right. Well, economic hardship. So, um, found it hard maybe to cover your bills as a kid. I guess did your family find it hard to do that or provide food in the home and things like that?
We had food and
Mm-hmm.
my mom paid the bills, but it may not have been what we wanted.
Okay.
But
Okay.
we,
So out of those eight, how many did we count? Probably about five. Okay. I have a helper helping me also with this. So that is over 50% of the ACEs that we've talked about. And basically, studies show that if you have one or more ACE, then you are liable to grow into adulthood and struggle in certain areas. So we're going to kind of talk a little bit more about those. Now, for some of these that you said yes on, like you said that you grew up with a single parent, So how? Tell me about that.
Well, having a single parent and that parent actually coming in the world into rejection, because my mom told us that she could have killed every last one of us, before we come out the womb. So I came up, as a little child, well, maybe second grade, third grade, wondered, well, God, why am I here? I mean, my mom didn't want me, so she said she didn't want none of us, and she had two sets of twins. I'm the 12th child. Where do I fit in? But God had to let me know that He knew my name. He knew my purpose even before I entered my mother's womb. And that's, I used to try to, as they say that song, uh, my hope is anchored in God. But I had to have something to hold on to, because it was like I didn't fit in nowhere I went. I didn't fit in at school. I didn't fit in. So I was wondering, why am I here? And besides other children, my mom spanked us, and I wouldn't say spanked, she beat us for going to church, when some people have probably spanked to go to church. Mm-hmm. So I was like all, just I was like this separated from a lot of things in life, and that bothered me even in at school, not being able to fit in. I would walk into brick walls, not paying attention, hyperactive, get in trouble and be sent to Gateway because I wouldn't, people say, you look like your mom, you're just like your mom. So I guess I acted out like her, with the rejection. That's like a lot of pain, being able to cope so at a young age, I tried to hold on to something solid, which was God, because He let me know that I did have purpose, even though I felt like I wasn't wanted. I'm still here, and that has guided me. You have to grip hold to something solid, because my childhood was not solid for as a parent, or my father died when I was young, so he wasn't in my life, and I don't hardly remember him. But mom was like dad, trying to be dad and mom, but maybe that's the way she was treated. So she really didn't know how to raise children, but yet she had more children.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So you talked about basically being young and some of the things that your mom would say to you, or ways that she would talk to you. How do you feel like your experiences affected your, not just your learning, but how you interacted with other people? Because I think, you've told me about fighting and things like that
Oh, I
before.
would I would fight, because now you couldn't, even though my mom was mean and evil to us, she demanded her respect. Mm-hmm. So I may have taken it out on someone else what I couldn't take out on my mom, but first of all, I had to learn to love myself, because if somebody don't want you, or you feeling rejected, you got to learn to love yourself, because you feel like the whole world is against you. So I first had to learn to love myself, and then I could reach out to others and learn to love other people, because it starts with self.
Thank you. All right. So I have kind of done a little bit of research as far as needs that children have. And it sounds like your physical needs were met. You had shelter, you had food and clothing and things like that. But what about your emotional needs? Did you feel loved as a child?
No.
No. Okay. Let's talk
So
about that.
I tried to, well, I mean, if you're hearing this come from the person that, you came out of their womb, and them saying I should have killed every last one of you at birth, well, you feel rejected, unwanted, unloved. And so you look, out of my eyes, I looked at everybody like, well, my mom doesn't love me, so you don't like me either. So I got a shield up. I couldn't get close to people, because I felt like my mom, this is somebody that, that had me and went through the pains. If she don't love me, then y'all don't love me. No one loves me. So I had to learn that everybody's not the same. Everybody's not mom. Everybody didn't have that feeling. But first of all, the love had to start with me, because I hated myself, because I felt like it was something that I did wrong. It's why my mom didn't want any of us. And I had to know that sometimes when you have purpose in your life, that you go through some crazy things in life. And I had to learn this. And I would, didn't know how to, skip. And it starts out too, it's being my real mom. She still let somebody else help with me.
Mm-hmm.
At 15 months old, she let somebody else keep me. So you already got one rejection. And then you're wondering, all these brothers and sisters, why was I, given to someone else to help raise?
Mm-hmm.
So that's another rejection that you felt, even though, and you go through stuff, but my siblings felt like, well, she's got the better way of life. It should have been me or it should have been us. But you still go through, even though she let somebody else help with me.
Mm-hmm.
And that person didn't have children. So that was like a mom too.
Mm-hmm.
So, you just go through different areas of abuse or different areas. This person didn't want you to go outside and get dirt on you. This person didn't care if you went outside and got ran over by a truck. So you're divided.
Mm-hmm.
So all of your life you're divided because you got mom over here and mom over there. So when you go out, even in church,
Mm-hmm.
you sit over here and away from people because it seems like your whole life is separated.
Wow, you put that really nicely. Thank you. Good. So, how do you feel like that affected you well, first of all, let me ask this. Did you ever go through any counseling as a child or
No.
from birth to 18? You never had any type of,
No.
Okay. Would you say you had a safe person who kind of was able to take you out of that negative environment of abuse and neglect and things like that? You talked about your second
the
mother.
safe person was God.
Mm-hmm.
Me learning about God and me learning that, he was wounded and he was bruised for my iniquities, and me being in Christ, that I had to bear some things. This is a trial walk, trials and tribulation, because he took upon his back for what I was going through. So that's helped me to learn. Even as 14 years old, when I accepted Christ, I liked to read the word. I liked to praise God. But it taught me a lot about some of the things that I was going through that I had to, we suffer with him. Mm-hmm. But for as having someone, yes, I felt like this mom over here may have loved me more, but not ever having a child, she didn't know the things that children undergo because she never had children or couldn't have children. Mm-hmm. I was her child that was given to her, but then my mom came back and got me in the second grade,
So you were basically going back and
forth. So that kind of divides your life. You don't know whether to be over here, over there. You're just, even in your schoolwork, you're trying to fit in, you're trying to, but I was always separated. I was over here one week, I was over here. So in my spirit, if God had not have kept me, I probably would be somewhere rocking in the state hospital.
Yeah. Wow. Now, how did that affect you as an adult when you became independent and started working or having your own children or relationships, friendships, marriages? Like how did that?
Now, as far as my job, being an oncology nurse, I felt like somebody, they would always, Emma, because they were in pain. But I felt like I was needed, I was wanted. Mm-hmm. So that kind of helped me grip hold of somebody needs me or somebody wants me near, and I'm helping somebody. On the other hand, after you leave the patients, where you're back into that slump, like, but and then in my marital life, now I see my mom could throw down with some fighting, and I let them know my mom didn't raise no punk now. Don't get it twisted. I might be a confused young lady, but and they would tell me, well, you look like your mom. And I didn't want to look like my mom. I didn't want that, but for as my children, even though I wasn't a perfect mom, I wanted to tell them, I love you. I wanted to hug somebody because I was never hugged or told I love you. And just to hear that word, because see, I was up grips and hold to the Spirit of God, because I knew he had to love me, to die for me. But I never heard it from, faith is what you can't see. I wanted to see and feel a person say, I love you. And even if they said they loved me, I thought it was fake. And if they told me I was pretty or beautiful, I got angry because I didn't feel pretty or beautiful. So I thought they were trying to be funny. But actually, I was a fine sister back in the day. Now you might. So that's the way you feel. These people are not. My mom was so real at expressing her feelings, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
and her saying, I should have killed every last one of them. Well, that's sink. Never let stuff sink into your spirit,
Mm-hmm.
because the spirit man comes into the whole body. Whatever goes in here can control the whole body.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wrestled, even in my childhood and then into my adulthood,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, you come to me wrong and you're not mama,
Mm-hmm.
uh, you know.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Well, I like that you said that you tried to, well, basically, I'm paraphrasing, you tried to right some of the wrongs with your children. Um, and I do want to say, just preface this, every child has their own experience, and even your brothers and
Yes.
sisters, they may have had a different experience with mama or how they felt, a certain type of love or whatever it was. So,
I want to say this though, what
mm-hmm,
really affected me, because I couldn't skip and jump rope. Well, I guess I didn't. I just stand back and look and be jumping up and down. But at the age of 13, when my mom shot my brother,
mm.
you know, she cured me because I stopped jumping. But I thought, oh my God, am I seeing things?
Mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm,
was 13. I believe he's let's see, 10 years older, so he had to be what, 23
mm-hmm,
at the time. Hmm. And I'll never forget, she told the police that if he presses charges, I'm gonna
mm-hmm,
shoot him in the head. And I'm thinking, is this real? Or is this on television?
mm-hmm.
I had to try to cope with society and what's real and what's not real, because
Right.
it kind of damaged me some.
Mm-hmm.
A mom that would, and I thought in my adult life, me growing up and all dressed up for church, and I'll never forget this lady named Miss Louise said, "Come here, baby." And I thought she was going to tell me, "You sure grew up to be a beautiful young lady." And she said, "Your mom was the first lady I know that made the papers for shooting her own
Oh
child."
gosh. Oh
And so I
gosh.
went on to church, but that sat on my mind, even though I'm in
Mm-hmm.
church and the pastor is preaching this and that. That dwelled on my mind. So we have to be careful of what we let. As they say, you can't keep a bird from flying over your head,
Mm-hmm.
but you can keep that bird from building a nest.
Right, right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So with your siblings, your brothers and sisters, you talked about you not being there, for the full time that they were there. So they had their own experiences and memories of their mom and things that happened and things like that. So my question is, now that
Well,
you're older and have had your own children, are you able to see things a little bit more clearer from your mom's point of view, knowing that she had 12 children, she lost her
she
husband?
had two sets of twins,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't. What I couldn't understand was a person that didn't want children.
Mm-hmm.
Did they not have protection back in that day? I couldn't. I couldn't understand why you have all these children,
Right.
and you said you didn't want any of us.
Mm-hmm.
But then I couldn't understand a person that say they didn't want you. Evidently, something deep down made her love us, because she would fight for her children.
Mm-hmm.
She
Yeah,
would.
I
I
will
mean,
say you you kind of like that with your kids. I feel like
yeah. I
you
mean, she
do
would come.
you
She
do
would.
go to bat. I will say that.
Yeah, that I would do.
Verbally, and you will get kind of physical if you have to. If you have to, but verbally you will. Yes. I'm the reason I asked that is because now that I'm older and I'm a parent, there's a lot of things I didn't agree with,
Right.
from my childhood of things that happened with our relationship. But being older and looking back, I can see where some of the decisions that you made make sense. And just like you have had to get over things and speak to yourself and get under God and encourage yourself, that is something that we all have to do is
Now
try to
I
let go
heard
of
you
the
say,
past.
Brandy, that
Mm-hmm.
I was. My mom came got me, my real mom, in the second grade, so I
Mm-hmm.
was there with my
Oh,
siblings.
okay. Yes. Until
Second
you
grade on up.
graduated. Sure
Sure
was.
was.
Yeah.
Then I went to uh, nursing school, and I went to college, then I went back to
Mm-hmm.
nursing. I was there, so
Okay.
I saw a lot of stuff. I
Yeah.
remember I had to sit up at all night long, because I had one sister that was kind of, Florence,
Mm-hmm.
one of the twins. She would say, "Well, y'all better get up out of here because I done set this house up. The things I
Mm-hmm.
had to endure. You just and I guess I can understand my mom now losing a child
Mm-hmm.
at 3 months old. My dad died, right apart. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. It's like this man has left me here with all of these children. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah.
you know,
So even if you don't agree, we can disagree, but we can still find understanding,
right. That helped
in
him.
order to
And
forgive.
you gotta learn. You gotta lay aside the weights because sometimes weights will build up and it will
Mm-hmm.
cause bitterness and
Yes.
hatred and animosity until you ask God for understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And then we gotta forgive. We can't keep,
Yeah.
in our heart because a lot of times I may have held a grudge. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't by me not understanding why you didn't want me. What's wrong with me? And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you grow up with like, what is it? To me, I'm okay. God made
Right.
me. He didn't make anything bad. But then you always that sits in the back of your mind that what was and why did I go over here instead of the rest?
Mm-hmm.
So you got double rejection.
And this is not talked about a lot, research wise, and when they talk about aces in the world, how they are experienced. But there are spiritual things that can be transferred generationally, like the spirit of rejection.
Right.
You talked about you having a feeling of rejection your whole life. Do you feel like that is something that kind of went on into the next generation as far as your four children?
That I rejected them.
That they may have had a spirit of rejection, because we know that spirits can be generational.
Well, I did the best I can to try to show love towards my children because I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want that same. Now, I'm not saying I was a perfect mom,
Same. Mm-hmm. I'm not
but,
perfect.
huh?
I just said same. I'm not a perfect mom. Uh-huh.
But I didn't want this. I wanted them to feel like, well, you're just not here. I love you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're my children, my girls. And me beating you was not going to show discipline and love because actually the stenching cards and the beatings actually caused bitterness from my mom. I don't know if that,
Mm-hmm.
and it
Right.
caused fear and respect, but I don't know about making me love, because
Mm-hmm.
I felt like some of those beatings was because you didn't want us,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because it wasn't only beatings, it was, my brothers got hit upside the head with skillets and
Mm-hmm.
bottles and and I mean, and butt naked.
Mm-hmm.
Me, I escaped some of that because I was the baby.
Mm-hmm.
And because I was always over here and over there and over here and over there.
Mm-hmm.
But, you're like, what am I crazy or what? I'm divided here. I don't,
So how do you think life would have been different for you as an adult if you would have had someone to talk to about those things, or kind of shield you from some of your experiences?
well, I think,
Outlets, maybe like a youth home or summer camps, things like that. School counselors to come and talk with you and encourage you. How do you
maybe
think
a
your life would have been?
counselor, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, we have so much. Our trust and our hope is in God because we go to the camps and you got problems there. You
Mm-hmm.
got problems, with therapists or, so if we can't trust the people that we're finding as an advocate, then we've got that same problem. It puts another damper on you because
Mm-hmm.
you're going to this person as if I can trust you, and that person um, preys upon you. Well, then, so our trust is in something solid, which is God,
Mm-hmm.
because He would never leave us nor forsake us, and He's not. If He chastens us, it's because He loves us. He doesn't chasten us because He didn't want us, because He is the actually person that made us,
Mm-hmm.
and He made us in His likeness and in
Yeah,
His
I
image.
agree. I
Mm-hmm.
agree. Well, talking about safe people, though, do you feel like he put us all here on earth so that we can have trust in someone?
I wouldn't say trust, but maybe we can confide, and I don't know. Well, I
Mm-hmm.
guess because the Bible says, "Put no trust in man, because
Mm-hmm.
man will fail, because we're human."
Mm.
So once we get in the knowledge that God is the only person that is solid and He won't fail us, and we know the difference between right and wrong, maybe we can go to that person. We got to have an aspect in our life of what this person is telling us. Is it right for us, or
Mm-hmm.
is it wrong for us? So once we get into that knowledge, then we can sit and talk to anyone because we know our boundaries.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Awesome. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you. So, what would you tell a young person through the age of maybe 5 and 18 who is dealing with ACEs, adverse childhood experiences? How would you maybe encourage that young person?
For as the 5 to 18, first of all, I would have to tell that person that our hope is built in Jesus Christ. Yes, we can love. Yes, we can forgive. If there is something that you're going through, if you can't talk to mom, there are advocates out there, but you've got to know the right of wrong of when people approach you. Are they coming to you in a godly way or in a professional way?
Mm-hmm.
Or are they really preying upon you with the same thing that you're going through wherever the wrong is being done?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. All right. I just have a couple more questions here.
Okay,
So
go
tell
on
me
ahead.
about your career. Tell me about your career as a targeted case manager. How did you use that career in your adult life to help someone else prevent transferring ACEs to the next generation?
Well, as being a targeted case manager, in my being a case manager, you had to be a licensed nurse, and you could work around the clock. But I dealt with a lot of people that were had addictions,
Mm-hmm.
mostly drug addictions, and some, would do all things with the children, whether
Mm-hmm.
sell the children or whatever. But our job was to save the state money and keep the children in the home. So we had to find advocates like counseling or uh, social activity to try to
Mm-hmm.
get some of the stress off of the parent, so maybe
Mm-hmm.
they could be a better person to the children, a better
Mm-hmm.
father or mother to the children. But sometimes that, it wasn't feasible. I mean, I was told that, you're going to push me out the car. I've been popped in the eye. I've been,
Mm-hmm.
because but they love me. I
Mm-hmm.
love you, Miss Emma,
Mm-hmm.
but I got black eye here. And hey, and one time they did say, which one is the
Yeah.
client? But
Uh,
anyway.
well, I just remember growing up, witnessing you taking mothers and their children
Well,
to the
yeah,
store or bailing people
right.
out of jail and
Bailing
things like
people
that.
out. I've been to
Um,
McPherson Pen to get people out, and
hmm
you
And
know,
some of those same kids that I remember us help or you helping that we kind of grew up around have gone on and made successful lives. And I'm talking
right
about, I'm talking about.
now, I understand that they've made successful lives, but now
Hmm.
there's a difference in being successful uh, financially. Being
Hmm.
got their own homes and doctors, lawyers, but where are they mentally?
Yeah.
Where are they mentally? Because I was a successful person,
Hmm.
but nobody knows, as they say, nobody knows the trouble I've seen
Hmm.
mentally. Sometimes I would regress back and think, until God had to deliver me
Hmm.
from the pain and hurt, because that's a bitter pain that you
Hmm.
carry. So even though people look successful, we look on the outside, but God looks at the inside, and He's
Hmm.
the only really healer
Hmm.
of that pain and hurt.
Right. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. And that is where we feel like ACEs kind of affects people the most is internally, emotionally. And that's where they
Right.
get addicted to drugs and things like that. Um, but these particular people, I would say, they have built a successful life for themselves and like you said, outside success. I don't really know about emotional success, but I do know how they interact with their own children, and knowing that they came from a life of abuse and neglect. Do you feel like your position in their lives helped them maybe overcome some things that if you had not have been there, what may
Well,
have been
some of their
worse?
parents and some of the, as the children got grown, and even the parents now, they still try to keep in touch with me
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not going to try to be fake with you. I'm just going to keep it real,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And a lot of times I wanted to say, oh Lord, it was just God, I believe, because sometimes you can't fix people. Only God can fix people,
Mm-hmm.
but you can try to be there as an advocate that, hey, here I am if you need my help. Here I am if you need to talk to someone or you need something. I'm here. But I couldn't, you get kind of tied up between, I can't fix them though. I can't.
Yeah.
There's something still there that's just, it takes God.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
He is the
I've
fixer.
heard
He'll put
it's
the pieces together
right,
if you let him.
right.
Yeah,
I have heard it said that healing breaks cycles. Do you believe that's true? Healing breaks cycles.
I believe that.
Mm-hmm. So, what
You
is
got to.
healing to you?
Healing is surgery from within
Mm.
because there are wounds there. Sometimes you feel like it's just an open wound. And that's the way my life was for a while. I felt like a wound. Even though I was surviving and going on in life, I was still thriving. There
Mm-hmm.
was still a big hole there and a big puzzles until sometimes I would talk to my sisters now. They've had
Mm-hmm.
it worse than me.
Mm-hmm.
And, learning to talk about, because these things you can't hold in, learning to express how you really feel. That's one part, letting it out.
Mm-hmm.
When we hold things on the inside, bitterness, hatred, and that wound that we try to hold on the inside and not express it, not talk about it, it goes in and messes up other wounds, just like a
Mm-hmm.
cancer. It's like a cancer that keeps eating and keeps spreading.
Mm-hmm. So this is the last thing. So your anecdote or your solution to not transferring generational ACEs is to heal. Talk about it, get it out so that you can be a better person, I guess, for your
Right.
children or for
And
someone
and and
else.
as I say, I have not been perfect because I had children
Mm-hmm.
still with those wounds.
Mm.
Those
Mm-hmm.
wounds were still there,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But I tried to be different other than, beating them or hitting them
Mm-hmm.
upside the head
Oh,
or
you're saying that you became a mother even wounded.
even wounded.
Right. Uh-huh.
Yes. I
Okay.
have, yes.
Hmm.
Sure did. But
Well, thank you for not beating us. For
because
not beating us
beatings,
up. Yeah.
now we have, I came up where uh, the elderly, the mothers and fathers, they
Mm-hmm.
demanded respect.
Right. That's yeah.
And so they felt like that was getting you to respect them. But I'm wondering if it built up hatred.
Mm.
Because if you're going to, and the Bible says, spare not the rod, but I don't think he meant kill you,
Mm-hmm.
beat you to death.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, if you're going to spank me, but yet not show me love,
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, well, I'm just here to be beat. I'm just,
Right.
a punching bag,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
And then you feel
So
like a
I tried to
mistake.
talk to
Right.
my children, which, then you get to thinking, well, you still wasn't right, because I think one of my mom, you just didn't
Mm-hmm.
raise us right. You wasn't strict enough,
Mm-hmm.
So it just takes God. I mean,
Yeah.
because there's not a perfect person that walks this earth.
Right. Mm-hmm.
The only perfect person that ever walked the earth was Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he had no flaws.
All right. All
Mm-hmm.
right, Mom. Well, thank you so much for coming and talking to us. I'm sure people who are going to be watching are going to say they learned a lot about you, about ACEs, about
Well,
prevention.
I do want to express that if there is something, and you feel like you can't talk to one person, find somebody to let it out. Yes. I find a lot of children that have been molested.
Yeah.
And they keep this in all of their lives, and they're walking around like a time bomb about to blow up.
Mm-hmm.
Tell somebody, let it out.
Yes.
Don't let the bitterness stay in.
Journaling. Now, I'm sorry. One of your outlets you said was writing. You write
Yes, I write
songs.
gospel songs.
Okay.
And a lot of my pain is in my music.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You want to sing us a little clip?
Well.
Oh God, she done changed her voice to close out. Just give us a little bit of.
I can say that your grace and mercy brought me through. I'm living this moment because of you. And I want to thank you and praise you too. Your grace and mercy brought me through.
All right now. Okay. Miss Emma. Well, thank you so much, Mom, for coming. All right.